Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to the Goddess Temple Teachings Lammas Symposium. It's absolutely wonderful to have you here with us, and it's my pleasure this afternoon to introduce you to Susie Quatermass, who is a Priestess of Avalon and our Muse and Temple of the Creative Arts tutor. So Susie, if you'd like to introduce yourself to everybody.
Thank you, Lisa. Hi, everyone. I'm Susie Quatermass. I'm a Priestess of Avalon. I live in Glastonbury, which is an absolute joy. I love this landscape and it's always been really inspiring. I'm also the manageress of the Goddess Temple Gift Shop. And I teach the Muse course at the moment, and also was involved with the creative Temple of the Creative Arts when that was happening. So I'm a Priestess of Avalon, and I'm also a Priestess healer as well. And it's always been my absolute joy to serve the Glastonbury Goddess Temple in whichever way that I can.
Hello. Wonderful. Thank you, Sue. Thank you, Susie. It's great to have you here.
Okay.
So you are an artist, that's right, isn't it?
That's right. Yeah, I'm an artist and a sculptress. So I first began making art when I was a kid, really, like we all did at school. It was like thumb pots, and I used to make little figures and things out of clay when I was a teenager. And then I did nothing for about 20 years and eventually went back to college to study pottery just for a couple of hours a week, and ended up doing my art degree in Canterbury. And that's where I came across all the goddess mythologies, actually. And what I was really struck by was the lack of goddess imagery in my world, in our world. It just wasn't there. This was like, I don't know, 25, 30 years ago. So I looked at feminism and all kinds of goddess activism that was happening. I came across Monica Shu's work, which was just phenomenal, but I could find very little really. And after I graduated from my art degree, I just went into community development and used to help like put on creative projects in deprived communities. And ended up in Glastonbury doing that kind of work locally. And but I've always had a bag of clay with me. It's been my one way of expressing myself. You know, for me, my art is about expressing in form what I can't necessarily say in words. Sometimes the words come afterwards, but mostly it comes in a dream or a vision of some kind, or a song, or something that I draw, or something that I see that just triggers either a memory or a seeing of her somewhere. She speaks to me through the world in shapes and forms all the time. So that's kind of where my inspiration comes from. It's like watching and listening and waiting, and she communicates to me. So
yeah, wonderful. And is that one of your sculptures behind you that I can see?
This one here is one of the Lady of Avalon sculptures, actually, that was buried. It was part of the Goddess Conference, and we dug her up, and it was really amazing because she was in a casket filled with ancient artifacts. And it was, although I've made her in this lifetime, it sort of felt like we were reclaiming her from many lifetimes ago, from thousands of years. And we dug up this box, and it had, you know, rattles and skins and bones, and she was in there as well. And yeah, it was amazing. It was literally like finding treasure. You know, in the land of Avalon. You know, when they find an old Neolithic site and they dig up something like a little sculpture or something, and they go, oh, look at this, it's thousands of years old. It actually felt like that when we did it. So yeah, she's just a special piece for me. So I look at her here, yeah.
It's really lovely to have her here with you as well this afternoon. So can you tell us a bit more about your courses? So Muse, first of all. So can you tell us a little bit about Muse?
So Muse is came about because I was really interested how we use the word muse and how it's often associated with an artist's inspiration. It's usually a male artist, and it's his girlfriend or lover or something like that in the past has always been associated with the muse. And also in the Greek, the 9 muses, you know, that inform patriarchal inspiration. But for me, my experience of muse goes back much further than that, deep into the deep recesses of my own memory through many lifetimes, that the original source of who we are is our muse. You know, she's the goddess that's been here for thousands and thousands of years. And I was really inspired to make something happen around reclaiming that energy and that remembering in all of us. It's like our ancestral origins through our mother line, if you like, right back to the goddess, to the first woman who gave birth, back even further to the origins of the cosmos, you know, and how we are incredible channels as human beings for so much that we can't even have the language, we don't even have the language for a lot of the time. And so Muse really for me was about offering people the opportunity to come and discover those places where we feel that we are not really living our full creative potential and our creative life. You know, so much of our lives and so much of my life has been spent working and doing things that I love, but my creativity has been involved in that. But the things that I love making are kind of have always been an afterthought. It's the thing that I might do. It's called a hobby usually, you know, and It was always like, how do we open those channels and bring about a shift in our consciousness that opens us to our creative potential. So many of us, the last time we made a clay pot, for instance, would have been at school when you made a pot, you know, the thumb pot you were making and painted it with acrylics and stuff like that. And it's almost like it's like we enter back into these places where we left off. So many of us have never picked up clay and made anything other than that. You know, so our only experience was making a clay pot or painting a painting where the sky is blue and the trees are green, and we never question the reality of colour or even painting with our hands, probably playgroup or something like that, or at home painting with our fingers, you know, and suddenly we're taught we need to maybe paint with a brush or something, but to actually go back to those playful opportunities to be curious about what happens if I do this with my fingers and use this colour and that colour, and find that playfulness again, which is our innate way of being when we're children, before we really go into the school system that then tells us how we can and can't create certain things, you know. So creating Muse was around offering people the opportunity to break down those barriers to expression, so we can just express what we want to express when we feel it, rather than have to do it a certain way and then feel like we're not good enough, because there's a huge good enoughness that comes through being a creative person. Our work is never good enough. I'm never good enough. The whole of patriarchy sets us up, especially as women, to be not good enough, you know. And it's all included in the mix of our creativity and how we can have more of an authentic presence and tell our stories and be more real in what we're saying and how we're saying them.
Absolutely, yeah, and creativity is so important, and that freedom of expression that you don't have when you're at school, because you're trying to produce something that has a particular outcome, and it's about the outcome, not the journey, isn't it? Often at school, so it's really important.
Yeah, and I also feel that with the current, we stand on this threshold at the moment of moving into AI, which is going to have its blessings, but also the shadow side of that as well. You know, and it would be so easy just to ask AI to create things for us, rather than keep thinking and discovering and being curious as creative people. So the whole thing that underlies Muse really is, let's activate our creativity as an act of rebellion against the system that is pushing the whole AI agenda, you know. And if we can keep practicing our creativity, it's an activism in itself, you know. And speaking about goddess in our artwork is also an activism, because it's such a small field in which our goddess art is known, really. Although people have goddess art all over the world now, but it's still such a small amount compared to the rest of what's been produced through time, you know. And women artists are only just really getting a little bit of recognition for their work, you know, and being known for their work. But artists such as Tiana, for instance, who we were talking about, her work is just absolutely incredible. But even, you know, to have a spiritual content in our work as women artists, it's not talked about. So I just feel like really strongly to bring that back, you know, and to start activating that in all of us.
Yeah, and it's really exciting to be able to do that, isn't it? And how many weekends is Muse?
Muse is over 4 weekends. Yeah, so this has been the first year that I've done it, and 4 weekends is great because it gives you the opportunity in between to also go to art exhibitions, read books if you want to, research, make some work, practice what we've discovered in between, you know. So the whole journey, and with its twists and turns and its lights and shadow, is all about unraveling the old story of who we are as creatives and what else can come through.
Yeah, amazing. That sounds wonderful. And have any particular artists inspired you with your work? I'm sure there have been loads.
Originally, Ana Mendieta, so she's a Mexican woman artist, and she placed herself within the environment and often naked, but she'd be lying in the mud with the mud all over her body, connecting to the land, which I found was really a powerful image for me when I was younger. And one of the first things I ever did was lie down on the grass and pour salt around my shape, and then dig it out, and then watch as it filled with water when it rained.
Wow.
And you see the moon is shining in the water, and you know there's this whole reciprocal relationship with the earth that she speaks about in her work. So Ana Mendieta was a really big influence for me, but also Monica Shu as well. I mean, I love her work around the sacred sites and how she included goddesses from all different times in her work, and her activism as well around the land and goddess spirituality was incredible. Yeah, so I mean that's just a couple that have really inspired me, but yeah, like you say, there's a lot more.
Yeah, I'm sure. And it's and it's great to be able to explore it in the online world as well, isn't it? So the Temple of Creative Arts you ran online, having been inspired by something you attended. So so can you tell us a bit more about that?
So that was inspired by attending a drawing class online. And no, in fact, it wasn't a drawing class. It was an ink making class that I attended online, and it was all about making inks from the local plant, flora, and fauna. And I just thought, what an amazing thing to be able to go out and collect things from the land, make ink, and then paint the very landscape from where you collected it. So again, this reciprocal relationship is within the artwork itself. And I just thought it would be an amazing thing to encourage people to get involved in trying different ways of creating, you know. So maybe someone can draw, but they've never really painted with their fingers, or you know, on a canvas, or they've never really made anything in clay. And so to have a little taster session and the possibility of seeing someone who's already practicing that and asking questions and just working with them for a couple of hours online from home was a real gift. I really loved it. You know, I learned loads. I mean, Kathy Jones did one about writing, and that was brilliant, you know, to find out what inspired Kathy to write in the first place, and then for her to pass that inspiration on. So that was really brilliant. And Emma Vincent as well, who's a brilliant goddess sculptress, makes goddess sculptures, little statues and totems and things.
Yes.
She was also one of the artists as well. And we all had like air dry, well, people had air drying clay, and, you know, we just kind of came up with these ideas and made these beautiful little figures. And it was so lovely. It was such a beautiful guided journey to do that. And I just felt it was like planting little seeds of change out in the world somehow, that we could all try something a little bit different. If you can't get to art college or not, but you could still try maybe a little bit of painting or a little bit of this or a little bit of that, just to create something for yourself or for your own sacred space, you know. So that's what was underneath it all. So
yeah, and what an amazing way to do it, to be able to, it just shows you that you don't have to physically be in a room with someone in order to create and to be creative. You can do it online, as in fact we are now. And it's just just occurred to me that you mentioned Tiana earlier, and I have two of Tiana's hangings that are just covering my bookshelf ish up there. So yeah, so very inspirational. And what about being a temple tutor? Is there anything that you've found that you've really enjoyed about being a temple tutor? Because you've done 2 courses this year, so which is quite full on.
Yeah. I've really enjoyed growing into that place within myself and sharing what I don't know that I know, if you see what I mean.
Yes, I love that.
But also being able to share what I love and what I'm passionate about with other people. I really enjoy that. And being able to help the people becoming unsticking themselves from ways of doing things that they don't know they can get unstuck from. So, you know, we've always got I can only do so much, or I can't, you know, I can't draw, or that narrative, to change that into at least I'll have a go.
Yes.
You know, and I think for me, it's taken me a lot of courage to step into the teaching, because I'm naturally a person that likes to do things in the background and support things in the background. So to step forward and to be seen. But I feel like it's time. I mean, I could have done something like this 20 years ago, but I just wasn't ready. And I wasn't mature enough in myself to, I think my art has matured a lot in the last 10 years, 5 years definitely. And I just feel at a time now that it feels like the right time to be communicating that, because it's not just about speaking about it. I think there's a transmission happens energetically as well. You know, there's something that if I'm passionate about something, to be able to share that with someone else and they then get passionate about it, it's such a gift. I just love that about teaching. It's amazing. And so I just feel like it's a real gift in my life to be able to do it. So, but I'm grateful to you, obviously, for helping set all of that up and guide me along the way, you know.
Oh, thank you. No, it's been a joy. And it's just so wonderful to be able to unlock people's creativity. And I'm thinking, I mean, I know that I'm probably not the only person that's going to ask you this. So I'm very much, I mean, I love creating, but I like to put things together in a pleasing way, rather than, that's how I describe it for me, rather than say, you know, I can do art. So if I was a bit hesitant about coming on an art course, what would you say to me about jumping in?
There's a really beautiful Martha Graham saying, and I haven't got the whole thing in front of me, but it's basically that there is only one of you in all of time. And if you don't express it, the world will never know what you want to say and how you want to say it. They will never see that drawing or that piece of art or hear that song or see that sculpture, you know, because there is only one of you. You see with your eyes and you know with your own stories something of the world, and to share that with others. And it doesn't always have to be beautiful and wonderful. Sometimes it's angst ridden and angry, and, you know, we can take our rage and put it into our paintings, and our feelings of loss and isolation and the places we're wounded can go into our art as well. But we can also make really beautiful things, and it's just expressing and being authentic in our expression. And I would say, take courage, follow that feeling in your heart that wants to expand and grow more of who you are, and speak about what you love. And follow that, and that will lead you to your way of expressing. And it might be, Lisa, that you'll be singing a wonderful song. Expressing yourself, because it's all creativity, isn't it? It's not, we're not confined just to, you know, a painting or a sculpture or a, you know, it can be a song, it can be a dance, it can be the way we put food on a plate, it can be the way we make our houses. We are an expression of her love her creativity
Yeah.
moving through us. We create beautiful sacred spaces, and to add our own flavour to that, our own artwork or something to that, is a really beautiful experience, you know. So I would say go for it and see what's there, you know.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
absolutely.
So the next Muse course is happening next year, I think, in March. Should I put your name down?
Yeah, put my name down. I really love that saying, that quote from, because Martha Graham was a dancer, wasn't she?
She was, yeah.
Yeah. So I know her work as well. So and I've not heard that one before. So that's really beautiful. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, really
beautiful.
lovely. So yeah, so the next Muse course is starting in March next year.
Yeah.
And the website will be updated soon with all the details, so that will be out. And will you be doing another Temple of Creative Arts, do you think?
I was considering doing it during the winter, again, maybe, but maybe focusing more on maybe a weekend, a Saturday, a Sunday, doing something together, maybe a writing course one weekend, painting or something for maybe 2 days rather than just a couple of hours, so we can really immerse ourselves in something. And then I'm also thinking about working collaboratively with Tiana to create a kind of summer school or a spring school of creating in Glastonbury, in Avalon, and with landscape. And because Tiana is very much she really channels the work this way, and I really pull it up from the earth. And I think the collaboration between us would be really fascinating. So people will get a chance to paint and sculpt and just share the journey together. And I think that's part of the joy, is sharing our journey, because there's a whole mythology, isn't there, that artists are lone wolves, and that, you know, as creative people we have to do it on our own and, you know, isolate and all of that. But it's not true. You know, that's an old paradigm. It's a patriarchal paradigm that isolates people in their creativity. And what we need to do is come together in our creativity and bounce off each other and share in the joy of making together and experience new ways that we don't know of making, and learn from each other and have the courage to do that, you know, because
I think that sounds great.
Yeah, it's a beautiful expression of being alive, isn't it? You know, so why wouldn't we?
Absolutely.
So in answer to your question,
what better way?
I know, in answer to your question, so I'd really like to do something in the winter months, because I think that's really important, you know, as we get further into the dark and into the cauldron. It would be really interesting to stir a few new creative seeds into all of that, and then next spring maybe to create some more shorter courses, as well as Muse happening, but some shorter weekends or weeks just to come and really immerse people into the landscape of Avalon, but also holding ceremonial space while we create, so that it transforms our experience of creating into a service to her, an act of show me what you would like me to paint or make, what will come through if I open to that possibility. So
I think that sounds really, really beautiful. Let's do it.
It's going to be fun.
Sounds really great.
And one of the things I love is working with other people as well. I think it's so important. You know, I've always loved that as an artist. So
and collaboration, there's something really special about collaborating with people, isn't there? There's sort of the synergy that you get between two or more people working together. And it's I love working with other people as well. I think it's a beautiful thing to do.
And also being seen as well in a group situation, is as being seen as an artist is a really big thing, to put your art out somewhere where it will be seen, and your creative
I can
work.
imagine.
It's really scary because there's a whole fear of rejection and all that sort of stuff. But when we work in a group situation, we're so supportive of each other, and because we all feel the same, you know, we're kind of, how can we support each other to be seen and known, and therefore take our work out into the world? So and
the more artists and the more creative work we have that celebrates Goddess, the better, in my view.
Absolutely, more of that.
much more of that.
Absolutely, I think every home in every land should have something of the Goddess in there.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing with us this afternoon, Susie. That's been wonderful. It's been really inspiring, and thank you. It's been wonderful.
Thank you for having me here on this symposium, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.
Yes,
Thank
I'll
you.
see you soon.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.